Chapter 1. The Gentle Shift from Doing to Being. Have you ever noticed how the happiest older adults seem more relaxed, more at ease, and less hurried than the rest of us? They move through their days with a quiet kind of confidence, unbothered by chaos, unshaken by pressure, and somehow glowing with a peace that feels almost rare in today's fast-paced world. At first glance, you might think they've simply slowed down because of age. But if you look a little deeper, you'll find something much more powerful at play. These older adults aren't just doing less because they have to, they're choosing to do less. And in that choice, they've discovered something truly remarkable: freedom. This shift isn't about laziness, it's about wisdom. It's the understanding that life isn't a race, and happiness doesn't come from how much you accomplish. It comes from knowing what truly matters and letting go of what doesn't. In our younger years, we're taught to chase, strive, and prove ourselves. We hustle for success, approval, and belonging. But eventually, if we're lucky, we begin to see that this constant effort comes at a cost: our peace of mind. That's when a powerful transformation begins. The happiest seniors have stopped measuring their worth by how much they do. They've stepped off the treadmill of endless productivity and into a quieter rhythm of life, one filled with meaningful connections, small joys, and deeper presence. They don't feel the need to impress anyone. They no longer chase people who don't value them. They aren't trying to win arguments or fix everyone else's problems. Instead, they've learned how to just be, and that's where the magic lives. In this video, we're going to explore the surprising reasons why doing less, strategically, purposefully, and peacefully, can actually lead to more joy, more meaning, and more genuine happiness as you grow older. And if you're someone who's still carrying the weight of doing it all, this message might be exactly what your heart needs to hear. Chapter 2. Saying No without guilt. One of the most liberating things older adults learn, and what makes them visibly more peaceful, is the simple, powerful word, no. It's a word that younger people often struggle with. We say yes out of guilt, out of obligation, or because we fear disappointing others. We take on tasks we don't enjoy. We agree to social gatherings we don't want to attend. We help people who never truly appreciate us. But something changes with time. The happiest seniors realize that saying no is not selfish. It's self-respect. They've spent years being there for others, putting others first, and now they finally understand. It's okay to protect your time, your energy, and your peace. This doesn't mean they've become cold or distant. On the contrary, they've simply learned to give from a full cup. They give when it feels right. They help when they want to, not when they have to. They no longer feel guilty for declining invitations or saying, "I'm not available." They don't feel pressured to explain themselves. They've outgrown the need for approval. This act of setting boundaries creates a calmness inside them that radiates on the outside. You'll notice it in the way they carry themselves: calm, centered, and content. By doing less of what drains them, they create more space for what truly brings them joy. A quiet morning walk, a heartfelt chat with an old friend, an afternoon of gardening or reading without interruption. They've finally learned what many people never do. When you stop trying to please everyone, you finally start pleasing yourself. And that's not selfish. It's wise. Chapter 3. Letting go of the unnecessary. As we move through life, we tend to collect more than just things. We collect worries, obligations, expectations, and emotional clutter. And often, without realizing it, all of this weighs us down. But here's the beautiful truth many happy older adults discover. Happiness isn't found in doing more. It's found in needing less. At some point, they look around and realize that half the things they once chased. Chapter 5. Redefining purpose in later life. One of the biggest myths about aging is that your sense of purpose fades as you grow older. That somehow, after retirement or once the kids are grown, you stop mattering. But that couldn't be. Further from the truth. In fact, many happy older adults say they feel more purposeful now than ever before. Why? Because they finally let go of the external expectations that once shaped their identity. No more chasing promotions, pleasing everyone, or measuring life by how productive they are. Now, they define purpose on their own terms. For some, it's as simple as being a loving grandparent or a kind neighbor. For others, it's mentoring the younger generation, volunteering, or sharing wisdom through stories. Some find purpose in quiet creativity, painting, writing, or making music just for joy. They realize that purpose doesn't need an audience. It just needs meaning. They've shifted from doing to being. And that shift creates deep satisfaction. It's no longer about achieving more, but about experiencing more. Purpose becomes tied to presence, being fully available in a conversation, in a moment of laughter, or in a peaceful afternoon walk. And sometimes doing less allows room for that deeper purpose to emerge. When you're no longer overcommitted or constantly saying yes out of guilt, you begin to discover what actually fuels your soul. You start asking different questions, not what do I need to accomplish today, but what will make today meaningful. It could be writing a letter to an old friend, calling someone who needs a kind word, or simply taking a breath, appreciating the morning light and saying, "This is enough." Happy older adults often discover that their purpose is not tied to doing everything, but in being someone peaceful, kind, and fully alive. This redefinition of purpose frees them. They don't have to hustle to feel worthy. They don't need to impress to feel useful. Their life has meaning simply because they are here, aware, engaged, and choosing what truly matters. Purpose, they've learned, doesn't retire. It just evolves. Chapter 6. Letting go of unnecessary drama. There's a quiet superpower that many happy older adults develop: the ability to simply walk away from drama. They've learned, often the hard way, that not every battle is worth fighting. Not every opinion needs correcting, and not every situation requires their involvement. This isn't apathy, it's wisdom. When you're younger, it's easy to get pulled into conflict. You might feel the need to defend your choices, explain yourself constantly, or worry about what others think. But as you age, something shifts. You realize peace is far more valuable than being right. You see how much time and energy drama steals, how it drains joy, poisons relationships, and leaves you feeling restless. And so you start to say things like, "That's not mine to carry," or "I'll let them have the last word." Older adults who are truly content often create boundaries, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. They choose stillness over chaos. They stop chasing closure and start choosing clarity. They don't chase apologies or try to change people who aren't willing to grow. They let people be. They've come to understand. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. This doesn't mean they stop caring. In fact, they care deeply but selectively. They care where it counts, about their peace, about the people who love them honestly, and about the legacy they leave behind. Letting go of unnecessary drama is a declaration. I choose a lighter life. They let go of guilt that isn't theirs, forgive even when there's no apology, and detach from things that used to trigger them. They've learned that some arguments just recycle pain. Some conversations go nowhere, and some silence is sacred. And when you stop giving energy to what drains you, you suddenly have more space for what lifts you, more time for beauty, connection, learning, and joy. This emotional clarity becomes one of the greatest gifts of aging. No longer reactive, no longer proving anything. You begin to live from a place of deep calm. You move slower, speak softer, love more freely. Letting go of drama doesn't mean your life becomes dull. It means it becomes peaceful. And in that peace, many older adults find a new kind of strength. The quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're finally living life on your own terms.